Okay. All right, well, I'm going to have to assume that Leanne's not going to chair, so I'll go ahead and get started. It's 1:02 PM on August the 10th. We'd like to call this workshop to order, and please stand for the pledge, followed by a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Pledge allegiance to the flag,
America,
the United
and to
States
the
of America,
republic
to
which it stands,
which is
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for the moment of silence for our troops and those who protect us. I would like to, item 3 is not really an item, we're going to skip that, but in your notebook, you have the county administrator applicant review, which was performed by FACM. We did look at that during our last workshop, and if there's no questions on that, I'd like to ask Charlie to come up and give us a brief so we can move on to Mr. Reade, who's waiting.
All right. Hello, everyone. Charlie Bacano, HR Director. Good afternoon. Today, we're going to conduct the first round of interviews with our county administrator applicants. We plan for 6 interviews, 45 minutes apiece. We have 5 questions, 1 per each commissioner, in order by district. We are ending with the general closing question by the chair, which is number 6. Chair Pennington will be attending the meeting via Microsoft Zoom. And with that, we can start the interview with Mr. Reade.
So before you read your question, do you want to introduce yourself real quickly and what district you're with? So that Mr. Reade can know who we are. Welcome.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Welcome. This is Commissioner Andy Dance, Commissioner of District 1 in Flagler County. Welcome and appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
So I'll start off with the first question. We each have ones that focus on different components of the job. But for me, briefly share your background and highlight the leadership roles that best qualify you for county administrator here in Flagler County.
Well, I want to say thank you again. I want to say thank you for this opportunity. My name is Rich Reade. I have served in local government, both at the municipal and the county level, for over 30 years now. I just got the award, so it's on my wall, so I can prove it. And with regards to leadership skills, I think this position in this business has changed quite a bit. I think for me, what works is an opportunity to work with our staff, showing leadership within our staff or the operational side, I think is important. And how I do that is I work together. I have an open door policy, but more importantly, I try to bring in everyone to work together and to come up with an answer together and a resolution together. I find that is something that's important because then what happens is everyone has an opportunity to have input into the issue or the concern. And then when we leave, we're all on the same page. And I think that really helps me to build a great leadership team. With regards to specific skills, I think being a listener, wanting to be transparent, and I think, sorry, I'm getting nervous for whatever reason. I apologize. But I think being fair and consistent has helped me with my leadership style and allowed me to really work with staff rather than just going down a single path. I think it's better when we all walk together and we try to resolve the issue together.
All right, thank you. Commissioner, who's next? Commissioner
Greg.
Greg.
Yeah, good morning, Rich, or good afternoon. I'm Greg Hansen. I'm the Commissioner of District 2. Over your 30 years, Can you tell me what was perhaps the toughest feedback you ever got and how you used that to change the way you lead?
Well, I think the toughest feedback is always when your bosses tell you that, maybe it's not working. Um, and it doesn't mean that that's the majority, but any one of your bosses tells you that. So when an elected official has told me that, that's always been difficult. But I think the most difficult part is when a customer tells me that either myself or our staff hasn't potentially done maybe what they're expecting. And that's always difficult. And it allows me then to reassess and understand what the issue is and maybe how we could have done it better. And I think that that's important because I think if we just stay stagnant or we just have a plan, this is how we're going to do it. I think that's when we fall behind and we don't meet the needs of our customers, whether it's our residents, our businesses, our developers, our stakeholders, whoever it is, our faith groups, our nonprofits. I think we always have to constantly be evaluating what we're doing. And when we hear those negative comments, I think it allows me to be able to say, what are we doing? What can we be doing differently as an organization? As an example, there's an issue, we get a call and or we get an email about just anything that someone's wondering about or would like to have changed. I think it's important that we don't just, if we can, we're never too big that we can't just go and either pick up the phone and call that person, or more importantly, go out and meet with them. So I think those are areas that I think we can always do better. And those are the ones that probably make the impact on me more and how I can be a better leader and how we can be a better organization.
Thanks, Rich. Appreciate it.
Hi, do you go by Richard or Rich?
I go by Rich, but only when I'm in trouble. My mom calls me Richard, so.
Yeah, I have multiple Richards in my family, so same way. Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Kim Carney, and I am District 3, and I'm currently serving as the vice chair. Flagler County's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied those values in past roles, leadership roles?
Well, first, before I get into previous roles, especially on the county side, I'd like to mention that currently I serve as the president of FCC or of the Palm Beach County Managers Association. It's a group of 39 cities in the county. And that is so important for me to mention because it really, lets you all know how important relationship building is, not just between me and my professional, counterparts, but also as municipalities in the county. And that's something that I never take for granted. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I looked forward when I went to Okeechobee County, was to really understand that dynamic between the city and the county. Because the county that I came from in Palm Beach, there was a lot of, butting of heads between the cities and the counties. And as a manager, I never really understood that. And so for me, it's really, really important not only to build relationships with our cities, but also the other organizations, our constitutionals. We need to all work together. We need to all be moving in the same direction. So it's absolutely imperative for me that we build those relationships and we communicate. Being fair, consistent, transparent, is so important in building those relationships for me. With regards to being financially sustainable or even conservative is just an absolute, I think, must in being a manager today. In fact, I watched, where you all, and your interim went through the process of a 5% cut. We've just are going through that as well. We've done a 10% cut in preparation of the super exemption in case that happens. But even if it doesn't, it's the ability to potentially return the tax dollars back to our community, which I think builds trust and And it's relationship building when we manage, our taxpayer dollars properly. It's difficult, it's hard, but it's important. So both of those aspects, I think I really, really focus on as a manager, and it's something that I will continue to do.
Thank you. Leanne?
Hi, yes, I'm Liam Pennington. I'm with District 4. Sorry, I'm not there. I'm sick today. Capital improvement projects such as our roadway resurfacing and widening, airport area development, and environmental restoration, like our beach nourishment projects, you may have done some research on. They are reoccurring priorities in our county. What relevant project management experience do you have that you can bring to Flagler County, and how would you help the board prioritize the big ticket capital improvement needs?
Well, I think first of all, for me, having a 5-year CIP is critical, and planning for those items. Of course, for me, those recurring items need to be budgeted or shown and planned to be funded every year. And it shouldn't, when we're looking at some of the big ticket items, of course, we need to be planning in advance of those dollars being spent. So with Beecher Nourishment in Delray, we dealt with that issue over and over. Dune restoration is critical. It's not just, bringing the sand in, it's also the dune nourishment or restoration, which is critical. And it's so important that you all are doing that. With regards to capital, again, going back to the CIP, I think it's critical. I've managed, up to 100 projects within a CIP. In Okeechobee alone, on the public works side, we had a 40 project list, and it included road paving every year. It's critical. We need to do it. We need to make it a priority. In fact, that's one of the things that I'm doing in my current position that's not been a priority with roads and sidewalks. We're dedicating more money than we've ever dedicated to roads and sidewalks in advance of the super exemption in case we do need to make some cuts. But it's critical that we continue to focus on that. The other area that I would say is important in the whole capital project process is, of course, funding. It shouldn't just be from ad valorem or gas tax or sales tax. Grants are significant. I've brought in over $100 million in grants over my career. In Okeechobee, we really didn't have a capital project that wasn't grant funded. There's so many opportunities out there with HMGP and especially on the environmental side and water quality with DEP. We had Lake Okeechobee and so many issues there that we were dealing with. But then it's also legislative appropriations on the state and federal level. We need to be asking, we need to be making our case. There are certain grants that if we don't receive the grant award, we should be working with our lobbyists or working with those departments to find out why we didn't, so our next application can be better. Again, all to continue to provide the highest levels of service to our community, but making sure that these services, whether we have the super exemption come through or not, that they still can be funded.
Thank you. Pam?
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. My
Thank you.
question is, what strategies do you use to work effectively with the elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
Well, that's always the challenge, right? And as your manager, if I were fortunate, you would be paying me a lot of money, not only to tell you the good things, but also the bad things. You shouldn't be surprised. You shouldn't be walking, down, the aisle of Publix or Target or Walmart or at an event and wondering what is that citizen saying? Why are they asking me that? It's one of the things that I think is so important in working, with my electeds, is making sure that they're up to speed on the issues that maybe might make the news, issues that the community may come to you on. Some of the ways that I do that is on a weekly basis. I provide what's called it's really an incredible title, just a weekly update. And what I do is I ask each of my departments to give me 3 to 5 bullet points. If there's nothing, there's nothing. But what are the things that happened that week that we need to keep you in the loop on? Has a calendar at the end so that you know what's coming up, not only next week, but over the next couple months. That way you're not surprised. I also like to have a weekly meeting with each of my electeds on a one-on-one basis. I think that's important. If it can't be, in person, whether it's through Zoom or phone or whatever it is, I'm open to it. I think it's just so critical that information is shared. It builds relationships as well. When there's a serious issue, I want that trust to be there, in both ways. And I think you do that by working together and having those meetings. I think the agenda process is also critical. Making sure that you have an agenda that tells the who, what, where, when, and why, because we can't expect, everyone. And really, it's not about, for the agenda, it's really not about you all, because hopefully, I've educated, you on what we're asking for or what the issue is. It's really for the community and for the newspapers or the social media sites, to really understand, because those are the folks that I think are going to be, picking up the phone and calling you. And I think making sure that our agendas are comprehensive and make sure that they explain to the community and they're transparent to the community what we're looking to do and why we're doing it, I think helps you in what you're trying to do in your positions. So I think those are all ways that over the years that I've learned, and there's so many others, but if an issue comes up in the middle of the night, I'm not going to pick up the phone and call you all, but I'm going to text you and make sure that you all know that, hey, the sheriff called me and here's an issue that happened. Don't want you to be surprised about it. So I really work hard at making sure that my electeds are always informed and that those relationships are really strong, so that when there is something negative, there's the understanding that, I'm not the policy setter. I'm just trying to explain to you, these are the positive, these are the negatives of where it is, and try and bring everyone as much together as I possibly can. I don't want there to be a gotcha at the meeting, and I don't want any one of my folks that may be at odds with the others to not understand all sides. And I would do that for all 5.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, we just have a final, do you have any questions for us, or is there anything else that you would like to share?
Well, I would, and thank you again for this opportunity. I would like to mention, and it's not really on my resume, but it's tied to my professional associations. And I'm a member of ICMA and a member of the Florida City and County Managers Association. I'm also on the board of directors of FCCMA as well. My term is ending with the county managers down in Palm Beach County, and I'm moving to FCCMA. I've been on that board for 8 or 6 years previously. And it's important, and I want to bring that up because it really ties to my level of ethics. With ICMA, there's a code of ethics, and we as managers are responsible for being the ethical, compass or the highest point of ethics, I think, on the staff side, and that's something that I don't take loosely or lightly. It's something very serious for me. And if afforded the opportunity, it's something that I would continue to do within Flagler County. Always being fair, always being consistent, always communicating, and always trying to do the right thing. The other thing that I would like to mention is that a number of the areas that you're dealing with today, I've had the opportunity to deal with either on the municipal level or on the county level. And again, being a city manager for as long as I have been, and then working on the county side has really given me a different perspective of what cities think or feel about our county. And it allows me to relate differently than maybe some folks that maybe have only worked on the county side. Similarly, I've also worked on the development side. So I really understand what developers are looking for. And it allows me to communicate differently than maybe others who have worked on the local government side their whole lives. I can sit across the table and really understand what those issues are and really be able to communicate about our history, our culture, our needs, our transportation concerns, our environmental concerns. And those are things that, I learned again by being on the other side and learning it. So those are a couple things that I'd like to share. And I thank you again for this opportunity. With that being said, I did have one quick question. And my question is, what is it that you're looking for in your next manager?
Excuse me 1 minute. Mr. Rodriguez, who takes that? Do we all take a shot at it, or do we give that to Adam, or?
Well, the question's asked of you. So if you want to, you can delegate. If you want to,
Okay.
it's up to you guys to delegate that question. It's not really a legal question. It's for
Nope.
you guys to decide.
Okay. So we're going to answer that individually, if that's okay. And I'd like to go in the same order that we started with the questions. Thank you.
Sure. I'll take a stab at that one. I would say, especially on some of the things that we touched on with the questions, definitely strong leadership. You mentioned ethics. We're looking for somebody that can pull the 5 different board members together. Communications is key in being able to adequately talk through the issues so that everybody's getting the same information and we all are, being able to deal from the same place with that information. So I do appreciate some of what you mentioned about your approach with on the different, commissioner questions and your leadership roles. I think that is an important characteristic as well. So we definitely are looking for somebody who can bring relationships to the table, be able to form relationships with other people, other organizations. We've mentioned that interrelationships with our counties, with our cities is important to us. We take pride in being able to work together to solve problems. Those are a few of my comments, so thank you again.
Okay, we're getting a
Thank you.
5-minute signal. Is that a true 5-minute signal? We're on the 40-minute plan here, or what? We got a 5-minute signal. I'm going to go on and move on to Greg, just in case we get cut off. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
Hey, Rich. A couple things. We've got a leadership program here in the county staff that is working pretty well, but it doesn't work well unless the current leaders, that is the county manager and the department heads, are leaders themselves. And I used to tell my leaders that they were the captains of their department and run it, and do it that way. But I've been here 10 years, and I've lived through a micromanager as a county administrator and the complete opposite of that, somebody who delegated authority. And the delegated authority works much better than a micromanager. So I don't want to see a micromanager come in here and run the county that way. I think it's really important that the staff understands that they've got a job to do, and you're going to guide them through that, and that they'll get the job done for you. So that's kind of critical to me as a leader, how you do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rich, it's Kim again. So I'm looking for somebody who's not afraid to change the culture. Somebody from the outside that can look at processes, that can look at departments, how they're running, if they're running efficiently. And communication, obviously, is very important. Emails make it, texts make it, but communication, and it's kind of difficult unless you do, kind of carve out that time, but it's got to become a priority.
I agree.
And I will say, going through the 10% process is something that we tried to get done this year. We probably didn't get it fully, but I need somebody that's going to pay attention to that 10%, with or without the cuts or the referendum. That's what I'm looking for. Leanne, are you on?
Yep, I am. So I would say I echo everyone's sentiments of what they've said. And on top of it, we are a very diverse county. We have a lot of agriculture community. So having any kind of knowledge of that as well as coastal is a big plus for us. It just has a lot of unique challenges, obviously, with dirt roads and eroding beaches. So I think just knowing infrastructure woes that we have, and obviously funding is a problem with that. But just knowing how to work, when sometimes there's not funding, but there still needs to be met, with our teams going out there and dragging roads and stuff. Real important on a day-to-day basis to be able to do that. And of course, everything everyone else said.
And
Thank you, Chair.
I've got a really short one. I just like to see respect and transparency for all of our staff and our team here, and team building. I think that's really important to me. Things need to be done in a team spirit because we're all together, even though we're all quite individuals. Our board is very diverse, but we do, I think, respect each other and show that to the public. And I'm worried about our constituents knowing that as well. So we want to keep positive vibes. That's just me. I hope that helps
Thank
you a
you.
little bit.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we wrap that up all right for you? Are you?
Yes,
are
that
you
was
good
great.
with that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes,
Anything
ma'am.
else before we close out?
No, again, I just appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right.
And if you have any other questions at any time, please, I'm always available. So thank you.
All right, we'll be meeting after this to do a short list, and then HR will be in touch with you.
Great. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Have a good day.
Okay.
You too, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thing blew up.
Okay, 1:45. Ready, everybody? Thank you, Charlie.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. Charlie Picano, HR Director. Next up, we have Miss Tracy Miller. Tracy, the interviews today are going to be 5 questions. Each commissioner is going to ask 1 question with a final wrap-up question asked by our Vice Chair, Commissioner Carney. So we'll go through the questions, and each person will ask 1 question. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name's Andy Dance. I'm the Commissioner for District 1, and I'll start off the questioning. Briefly, share your background and highlight the leadership roles that best qualify you for County Administrator in Flagler County.
Of course. Thank you, Commissioner Dance, and thank you to all of you for having the opportunity for a face-to-face. So I spent the first 20 years of my career working for a nonprofit that I'm back at today. We're called the Innovation Groups back in the early days and have since become the Alliance for Innovation. Through that time frame, really honed my skill on best practices and research and information and technology, and really bringing innovation to bear in the best governments in the country. From there, I worked for Sarasota County. I was recruited by Reade to come down there and be their strategic planner, and spent 10 years really diving into one of the best counties we have in our state. And that the first 7 years of which was in the Office of Financial Management. So a lot of budget experience as a function of that, and a lot of function related to GFOA and the standards for GFOA, as well as performance excellence in general. And then from there, I was an assistant city manager in both Oldsmar and the city of Bartow. Flagler County is in the middle of budgetary from where I was about 140 million in Bartow to 1.1 billion in Sarasota County, and as well as staffing. So in Bartow, I had about 375 full-time positions, so not too far off from you all. And Sarasota had as many as 2,200, 2,300. So in the middle of that, but certainly a lot of experience with coastal and innovation and budgeting, and I believe that equips me for the position that you have at hand.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Tracy. This is Greg Hansen. I'm the Commissioner for District 2. During that experience that you've related to us, what was the toughest feedback you personally received, and how did it change your approach to leadership and management?
I think, strategic planning in particular is a honed skill. And I learned how to do strategic planning one way. And I had a county administrator who had a consultant he'd used many times before, and he had a specific way of how he liked to do strategic planning. And we didn't always blend that well. And interestingly enough, we wound up working with him for about 1.5 years, and then the commission didn't really like that long term. And so I had the opportunity to put my stamp on our process. But what I also learned as part of that is the willingness to adapt, because what I had learned from him in relationship to an annual action plan, the effort that his model brought forward to do that was really important. I think, I've heard you all, I've done a lot of research in order to prepare for this, and how important it is for you to have kind of like a precision to the plan at which you're carrying out year by year. And it works really super well. The proof is in the pudding at the end of the day. When we say we're going to do something, we should do it, and we should report on that on a frequent basis. And so, I learned to adapt the way I looked at a strategic planning environment based on his, and melded that with my own. And I think that has served me well through my career to be able to take kind of the best ideas from different elements and be adaptive in that manner.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Tracy. This is Kim Carney. I am the County Commissioner for District 3. The County Commission's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied these values in past leadership roles?
Well, I'm all about a good mission and vision. I think it's very important for us to be able to, as employees, live that mission and vision. I think fiscal stewardship is our prime consideration, and performance. Again, probably I'm best known for doing what I say I'm going to do with confidence. And it's funny that you would bring up so I had a little bit of tweaks for your vision and mission based on what I heard and saw in your strategic plan, but then also, as it related to your mission, I thought, be an innovative organization committed to excellence, collaboration, and fiscal stewardship might roll off the tongue a little bit easier for the staff, because those are the main emphasis areas that we're providing service and really performing at our best. So those were some of the things that I thought about. I'm also a big proponent of performance management. I've worked I've consulted with other governments throughout my career to develop performance management programs as well as strategic planning programs, and it really, it's not a checkbox, just like transparency. It's not a checkbox. It's a scale of what you do, and it's our job to make sure. I've done a lot of strategic communicating through my career, that we articulate our messages in a way that people understand it, and we're telling our story accurately and with precision, so that people can be behind or against, but certainly provide us feedback in evaluating what it is that we are trying to do and do it well. And so, those are all kind of core components to being a public servant and a servant leader that I espouse to be.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Charlie, can I ask a follow-up if something pops up that's related to the response, or should we write those down? If it's related to what she does,
Right.
if it's okay.
Commissioner Dance has a follow-up for you.
So in your current position, consulting,
Yeah.
tell me the difference between when you advise a county and you're the consultant versus implementing, being the administrator and actually implementing what you would espouse if you were consulting. I just find it interesting that you have done both. So
Done both sides of the house, yes. I think great question. So my organization is a nonprofit, unlike many consulting firms that do this with a big ticket. When we come on site, we're doing it with a more philanthropic fashion. And I'll give you for instance, I was working with Delray Beach at one point in time on their strategic planning, doing a lot of their citizen engagement work. And I had done one round, and at the end of the day, they didn't implement anything that came out of that particular strategic planning, and that bothered me. I'm here. I want to, with authenticity, say to your public that this is what we say we're going to do. We're going to do it. But so I made them in the next year's contract say that they were actually going to implement the plan, because as a consultant, you don't have any legs as it relates to implementation. The execution of a plan is up to the organization. And so as a consultant, you can set all of that forward, but they have to be, you have to create a good solid plan that they can execute, but at the end of the day, it's up to them to do that. Now, on the other side of the house, execution has always been my kind of bag of tricks, so to speak. I work really hard at that, whether it be from a technology perspective or a plan or reporting or communication. Those are all extremely important aspects to a good, solid strategic plan and a budget, that they go together so that the finances match up. But again, as a consultant, you're just on the periphery of that.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
We're going to go on to Commissioner Pennington. She is not up here on the dais, so she's going to chime in.
I'm
here.
joining by Zoom.
Yeah, she
Hi.
is.
I'm District
Chairman.
4. How are you? My question is, we obviously capital improvement projects such as roadway resurfacing, widening. We have an airport, so airport development, environmental restoration. We have a large beach nourishment projects that we undergo. Those are recurring priorities for us. What relevant project management experience would you bring to Flagler with that? And how would you help the board prioritize big ticket capital improvement needs?
Delivering on your capital improvement plan is a very high priority, right? At the end of the day, if you cannot deliver your capital plan, or it's going to cost you more and more the longer it takes for you to implement. As I mentioned previously, I'm a big proponent of, I believe in self-discipline as well as discipline for the organization. We're going to do what we say we're going to do. Project management is not difficult if you are very adept at making sure that you're meeting milestones and mile markers. I have, in Sarasota, we would run our strategic plan, which would have a balance between organizational projects and major initiatives, as well as capital, usually somewhere in the neighborhood of about 100-ish capital projects we were managing start to finish, and just monitoring that throughout the process. I would love for you to see a dashboard that actually demonstrates progress in those capital projects to the public, not just to you, but on a monthly basis. And you'll see in both Bartow and in Sarasota County, you can look at the dashboards that I created that were for major initiatives in both of those venues, and they're still live, and they're the exact systems I built when I worked there.
And Pam?
Good afternoon, Pam Richardson, Commissioner District 5. What strategies do you use to work effectively and with elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
Consensus building is key. To do proper consensus building, I believe we have to establish rapport between myself and each of the commissioners. That really comes with me being well prepared to have a conversation and brief you in advance of big decisions. Again, to me, you are the policy body. You make the decisions. You provide the direction. It's my job to carry out that direction. It's also my job to well prepare you to create that direction that we can follow. That is a necessity to know our roles. It's also important for you to allow me to run the organization. The organization responds and comes through me, and you hold me accountable for that. That's why we're here today, is so you can find a county administrator that does that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so I just have a little wrap up. Do you have any questions for us, or is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
I just really appreciate so much that you're doing this. I know that this is a little awkward, and I'm really having trouble seeing you. I can't really see your facial expressions from this distance, but hopefully you're appreciating what I have to say. But with that said, I've done a tremendous amount of recruiting in my time, and the lack of personal, just reading the paper isn't enough to really tell the story of who the person is across from you. And I realize you're trying to make a tough cut from 6 to 3 or whatever you decide. And so I truly appreciate the opportunity to get to know you better and tell you more about myself.
Any questions for us?
How quickly would you want to see a county administrator? I know you have an interim today, and do you have any idea of how quickly you would like that to happen?
So our HR, Charlie, is here. We do have a timeline. We'll finish up and go to a short list today, followed by a background checks.
Do you want to say something, Charlie?
The week that we had slated for one-on-ones here in Flagler County, I'm not going to be here. So I don't know if they changed the dates or what they did for that. But if you'd like to take over, Charlie.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. The week we originally slated for in-person interviews was 8/24 and 25. But this afternoon, when we have our special meeting, we'll have to discuss as a group and find 2 new days that work for everybody in their schedule, and then we'll be reaching out to you this afternoon if you make the short list. So that's the plan.
If we move it, it's going to be less than a week. I mean, I'll be back on the 28th or the 27th, but it was just those couple of days. So hopefully by the end of August, the first week in September.
Were you more curious about when you would start? Was that the basis of your question, or?
I was thinking, yeah, you're coming up on October 1. Probably most all of the fiscal decisions are made. So I in order to be a good steward of kind of like your planning process and where you're at, I would want to be well equipped to hit the ground as quickly as possible and do the job fast. But with that said, I also am not in a hurry. So whatever works for you all. I just was wondering if are looking at like a November one, a October one, time frame for someone to actually be sitting in the office.
So we would work with the candidate, the successful candidate, to work with your current employment. We are, in my opinion, anybody else can speak up. You are correct. Our budget process is pretty much over. We'll be having our 2 required public hearings, September 3rd and September, help me, 12th, something. Anyway, October 1, you're going to get what we've got. So,
Gotcha. All right. Very well.
anything else before we close out? Would like to thank you for your time, and Charlie will be in touch.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you
you
for
very much.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Have a wonderful day and
Have a
good luck.
great day.
Thank you too.
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfect. All right, Mr. Hutka, I'm Charlie Picano, the HR director. Thank you for being on today. The way this is going to work today is we're going to go through, each commissioner is going to ask you one question, and then at the end, we'll have one follow-up question. So it's 6 questions total, each one will ask you one, and that's pretty much it. So
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Sorry, one more note. One more quick note. We do have one commissioner who is on Teams chat. You can see her added up there. She'll be asking her questions via Teams. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I hope, please excuse me, I don't know if you knew, I was 1 minute late because it took me 5 minutes to log on to Teams. And I do it all the time, but today of all days, it decided not to let me in.
That's okay. We're fine. We're going to let Commissioner Dance start us off.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hutka. How are you today? Thank you for joining us here. Let me get my mic on. Was my mic on?
Yeah.
Again, good afternoon. I'm Andy Dance, Flagler County Commissioner, District 1. I'm going to open with the first question, but I had to note, I see you spent 11 years in Broward County as Public Works Director, and here in Flagler, I think a lot of Broward County residents now reside up here. It's been a favorite place of relocation within the county. So I think we have a commissioner that
Yes,
did that
I
too.
started in Hollywood. I'm from Hollywood, Florida, raised in Hollywood, Florida, 45 years in Hollywood, Florida, and Coral Springs. And I've been here 23 years.
But we'll go ahead and that was a little intro there just to get you settled. So we'll start off with the first question. Briefly share your professional background and most importantly, how your experience has prepared you to address the opportunities and challenges facing Flagler County.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning. I was, excuse me, first generation in my family that had an opportunity to go to college. And so even in high school, I decided how to use that great opportunity. And I apologize if it sounds corny, but then and now and all in between, I've had 2 goals in my career, is to help people and to protect the environment. And I realized then, and I still agree, that local government is where the action is. It's hands-on, working through issues of the day, more than state government, more than federal government. And then I had a wild idea that I would bring technical skills into government with me, instead of just being a generalist or going straight to management. I studied civil engineering. I went back to graduate school and master's in public administration. I studied finance and planning. And then I made one more stop. Oh, and I worked as a civil engineer. My clients were mostly state and local governments. But then I made one more stop and I worked on Wall Street rating municipal bonds, which was a great education in how everyone else in the country does things. And then I took the plunge, started in Hillsborough County, and have worked for 3 counties in Florida: Hillsborough, Osceola, and of course Broward. And even in my career, I have worked in all areas. I've worked in a lot of different areas. Public works is a bit of a misnomer in Broward County because it was over the streets and the lights. It was also over water, sewer, solid waste, facilities management, and $1 billion a year in new construction, in capital construction. That's me. We haven't really finished a move from South Florida, so my family's still in South Florida and very much would like to be your next county administrator.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Do you go by Tom or Thomas?
Tom, please.
Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom. And that's quite a varied background that you have there. But during that time, what was the toughest feedback that you got, and how did you react to that, and how did you turn it into making you a better leader or manager?
Within a year or so, at the age of 30 or 31, I moved. I spent a lot of time in North Carolina, but I moved to Florida for the first time at that time. Became a manager for the first time. Engineering firms and Standard & Poor's had loose structure. They didn't really have managers or an org chart. So I became a manager for the first time. I wasn't working with civil engineering design or with finance, but I was working on getting things done and it was my first job in local government. And it was also, I got married, and I got a wonderful, beautiful 12-year-old daughter as part of the deal. And what happened within a very short stretch of time, I found out I wasn't always right. As an engineer, you do the math and you show, here you go, I'm right. You know, with working through the budget totals, it's either right or it's wrong. But becoming a manager, working in local government, brand new wife, brand new preteen daughter, I found out I wasn't always right, and I had to take a different approach to life. And it's made me a better husband, a better father, and a better manager.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom. My name is Kim Carney, and I represent District 3. Flagler County's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied those values in past leadership roles?
For me, it's important to state the strategic plan, state the values for the good of the organization. For me, everything you mentioned is breathe in, breathe out. Cooperation with other governments, fiscally conservative, watching the dollars. These are all necessary, working well with staff, working well with other people, all very important to get the job done and come back and continue working. There are people, especially a lot of people who started their career in engineering, who get the job done and burn bridges along the way. And so when the second, third, and 20th job comes along, it's harder and harder. I like to make a pitch that please don't look at my years of experience. Look at the successes during those years. I've worked in government most of my life, and I've worked as a consultant to government, the other part, as I mentioned. And government's real big on just kind of kicking the ball down the street. And people will say, well, I have 20 years experience as a whatever, planner, engineer, designer, whatever. That doesn't mean too much to me. It's how many successes you've had along the way and how strong a team have you built. And by team, I include citizens, other government entities, local businesses, and of course, the Board of County Commissioners. And I've done very, very well. I mean, when I was city manager up in Michigan, we filled up Main Street with shops and restaurants for the first time since the 1960s. We cleaned up the poor half of town. I had a 94-year-old woman tell me she's never seen the South Side look as good as it has in her entire life. We filled up the city-owned industrial park for the first time, even though during a recession. We were the only state with a decreasing unemployment rate, the only area with a decreasing unemployment rate in the entire state. First time in 4 governors, the governor came to visit. Jennifer Granholm was governor, and she came to visit once a month. First time in years any governor set foot in the 5th largest city in the state. We won All-America City Award, and it only got that done because of all the good things you mentioned, partnering with all stakeholders, working well with the team, watching fiscal constraints. Those are all methods to get the job done and continue to have successes. Is that fair?
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go on to
I-
Leanne.
Yep, it's Leanne Pennington. Obviously, capital improvement projects such as roadway resurfacing, economic development in our airport area, environmental restoration. We have beach nourishment projects continuously occurring. Those are reoccurring priorities to our board. So what relevant project management experience can you bring to Flagler? And how would you help this board prioritize these big ticket capital improvement needs?
Okay. Again, based on a beginning of my career as a design engineer, and I still maintain my Florida professional engineering license, construction inspection, working on Wall Street, finding out how to fund capital projects, working for Standard & Poor's rating, assigning bond ratings based on financial analysis. I've spent half of my career in government leading some of the largest capital programs in the country. Adjusting for inflation, over $1 billion a year. Okay? And all of the projects you mentioned, check, 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 I've done, and most of them more than a few times. In Osceola County, we set records that no one will ever touch. We built a 900 bed jail, signed the contract for design and construction, bought the land, remediated environmental spill on the land, designed the whole thing, had a ribbon cutting, open for business in 9 months. But forgive me, I don't normally talk about myself this much, and I normally and never brag, but in a job interview, it's okay. I can brag a little. You won't find anybody who's built more projects for city and county government than me.
Madam Chair, can I do a follow?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Again, this is Commissioner Dance.
Yes.
In Broward specifically, extremely fast-growing county, but you also mentioned protecting natural resources. So how do you balance growth with the natural resource protection that you mentioned earlier?
When I got to Broward County, again, one of the duties overseeing water and sewer, they were literally dumping raw sewage into the ocean from the wastewater plant. Okay. We went beyond that, worked with a multi-county, multi-city, multi-private business to do a stormwater recharge to capture. The problem with Florida, a lot of rain falls and then it goes out straight out to the ocean. We used an abandoned rock quarry in a public-private deal to capture a lot of that groundwater to recharge the water system. A part of the team is not direct responsibility, but part of the team. We did beach renourishment 3 times in my time there. And the big one. This is one of the largest traffic signal systems in the country. Broward County is given the right to control the state-owned traffic signal systems and owns all of the traffic signals on county and city roads, including the city of Hollywood. 31 municipalities. We had 900 some odd signalized intersection, and nobody ever properly timed them. So that you can drive down one of the major boulevards and not stop every other light. They were artificial, what I call artificial traffic jams that were caused by bad traffic signal timing. Okay? We reduced total air pollution from all sources by at least 15%, at least, conservative estimate. We reduced everyone's travel time by 25%. The newspaper did a wonderful story. At the time, the beat reporter and was married to the investigative reporter for a television station. So the newspaper reporter was married to the TV reporter. And they started doing stories that they couldn't figure out why they were getting to work 20 minutes early every day. And then they did a wonderful story about how we retime the signals. Those are just some examples, but again, it's not theoretical. It's based on real success with real results. And I could keep going for hours on a success. I'm sorry. One more thing. Every building that we built, quite a few buildings in my time there, including, and I'm bragging, I'm sorry, the largest single courthouse in the country. Okay. At the cost of, $700 million. Every building that we built was LEED certified gold or platinum. We even worked with the LEED people to broaden their scope on what they would allow, what types of projects they would certify. So really on the cutting edge.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I do a follow-up before I give him my question?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one in Andrews Avenue?
Excuse me?
Was that the jail in Andrews Avenue? On Andrews
No,
Avenue?
I'm sorry. The jail was Osceola County,
Oh, Osceola.
Kissimmee.
Okay.
Yeah. We also, during my time, we started the renovation of the old jail downtown.
Old, huh? Okay, I guess I'm older.
Yeah, I know.
My question, I'm Pam Richardson from South Florida and here, as I told you, 23 years. What strategies do you use to work effectively with elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
First, I love it. That's the whole nature of why there are 5 commissioners on your board, because it's healthy to have differing viewpoints. Communication, to make sure that you know the issues, whether it's an emergency, I notify you immediately, or in preparation for your regularly scheduled meetings and the agenda, to make sure you understand the issues, to make sure you know what the options are, to make sure in almost all cases we give you a recommendation, but all the background information so that you can make well-informed decisions. And that means meeting with all of you on a regular basis, one-on-one, to make sure all your questions are answered and that you have all the information in front of you for every meeting coming up.
Thank you very much for your response. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to give you a couple of minutes here to ask us any questions and or to share anything that you'd like to share that wasn't covered in this short meeting together.
Okay. Kind of a two-part question is, what are the big issues as far as big, high visible projects or special programs? And the second part of the question is, what needs to be worked on just day-to-day services? Where are there areas for improvement?
You want to take it?
Just repeat that one more time for me?
Yeah, two questions in one. What are the big projects and programs that you want to initiate? And secondly, what are the day-to-day services that need improvement?
I think we'll go to the beach. The beach is probably our biggest topic to date. We've gone through two different renourishments, different sections. We're just starting our second renourishment project. So, and we have a capital or a beach management plan that's about 4 years old that we're going to revisit here in the this next fiscal year. So we have a new coastal engineer on staff that we're going to help us lead us through that update to our coastal management plan. But it's so I think the big project that's not been initiated, has not been completed, is doing a funding plan to go along with the beach management plan. So that is something that we would have to look at. One of the big ticket things that you would be tasked with is how do we make that a sustainable beach management plan that has funding backed up to it. And then on the day-to-day, I don't do the day-to-day managing, so I may not be the best one to give you that the answer on that one. But we have excellent staff. We have our planning director who has stepped up to be interim and is doing, an admirable job in leading the county until we have a permanent replacement. But I'm just going to leave the day-to-day one. I would say there's always improvements for customer service being, the best that we can be. But I would say our staff is doing a great job, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, good. No, good to hear.
Well, our budget's pretty much set for 26, 27. There will be probably a learning curve to, with each department, the constitutionals, to go over, what their individual plans are. I'd like to see us get back on a strategic plan. Our plan is older, has not been updated in a while. We've not had since I've only been on the board a year and a half, but there does not seem to be a timely update on the strategic plan. And then as a new administrator, to just look for process improvements in each department. We have not gone through the exercise of the 10% budget yet, so we're going to be probably focused on 27, 28 with the state legislature asking, or I guess they're going to put it into law, that we're going to have to look at a 10%. So there's going to be a lot of math involved in the next year. That's how I see it on a day-to-day basis. Anyone else have a comment?
I'm sorry, just a side note, when I was city manager in Port Huron, Michigan, and I already went through all the successes we had. My second year there, we got 2 weeks notice that the state was trimming revenue sharing from sales tax. And we lost like 15% funding, total funding in the general fund with 2 weeks notice. It was a good opportunity to go back and reevaluate the entire program, the budget, and of course the services. And we basically trimmed the bushes, and no one really felt any hurt from where we took the cuts. So it was actually a healthy opportunity. Not a new thing for me, particularly up north where sometimes the budgets go up and down.
Great. Any follow-up or any comments about projects?
I don't have it, it's not on projects. I just think that it's really important for our residents to get transparency and to maintain that. Onboarding is one of my big deals, especially as a new commissioner here, almost 2 years, Kim, believe it or not, it's almost 2 years already. Time flies. But there was a limited onboarding, go meet this one, go meet that one. It didn't give us the opportunity, in my opinion, as a newer commissioner, to have the advantage of knowing what's going on each department and what we need, what our lines were. Let me put it that way, clarity of the lines of what we're supposed to do. I'm still asking.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Has anybody offered you a tour of each and every
Oh, yeah.
service area?
I went to every single department. They told me what they did, and that was all that. There was no follow-up to it from that. So,
Yeah, that should not be.
yeah.
That
Well, it's over now, but I've got a great staff, and they will always extend themselves to me at any time, anywhere. We have a very friendly, kind community here. So I call it my hometown. I'll just leave it at that. And I have no complaints. It's just I want to make sure that anybody who's not been on the dais over and over again, that they get an opportunity to have a better education as to what they're getting into once they're elected. That's important to me. As well as
Yes.
quality of life. And thank you for talking about the trees, because we got a lot of them. It's like Tree City, USA, like Coral Springs, same thing. Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right, is there anything about yourself that you would like to share that you haven't shared? Any special?
Well, you can probably tell I snuck in a few points. The big thing about me is I've dedicated my life to public service, again, to help people and to protect the environment. And I take it very seriously, but I also think that during the day, I create an environment for staff and for board members and for the public to enjoy the work and enjoy interactions. In Broward County, in addition to the successes and the awards, I regularly had staff come up to me, and because I hate sitting at a desk. I was always out and about in all the different departments, and people would come up and say, "Oh, you know, I studied XYZ, and I signed up for a career in fill in the blank, right? Whatever, say architecture. I studied architecture and I worked as an architect and I came here and I've been here 15 years and I hated it. And every year for the last 10 years, I've been trying to think, how do I get out of this business? And I kicked myself for deciding to become an architect. But you know what? Since you've been here, I actually enjoy coming into work. I'm enjoying my job, and I'm remembering back in high school and college why I studied architecture or engineering or water and sewer treatment or whatever, fill in the blank. And it happened more than a few times, and it just makes my heart feel good. And it's a goal unto itself. We spend most of our awake hours at work. And people in America typically, if you look at the statistics and they never change from year to year, most Americans hate their job and wish they had gotten into a different career. And I've worked very hard to make it. Some of my best references are people I worked with who enjoyed working with me and working at their job. I'll stop there.
Great. All right. Seeing nothing else, do you have a follow-up or are you all set? Everybody all set?
Good, thank you very much.
Leanne, you all set,
you.
Leanne?
Leanne?
Thank you all.
Okay.
To meet you in person.
All right, have a blessed day.
Can you all hear me now?
There we go.
Yes.
There we go. Very good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you all?
So we're going to have Charlie he's the head of the HR department. He's going to just give us a little, let you know what we're going to do here, okay?
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
Shawn.
great.
Yep.
Perfect. Good afternoon, Mr. Boatright. Today we are going to ask you a series of questions. There'll be one question per commissioner, so 5 questions total, with a final wrap-up question, kind of give you the opportunity to share some of your thoughts. So we do have one commissioner who is currently on the Teams chat. That's who you see in the meeting. He is our chair, Ms. Pennington. So with that, we'll start with asking the questions. Like I said, it'd be one per commissioner. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi there, Mr. Boatright. This is Andy Dance. I'm the Commissioner for District 1 here in Flagler County, and welcome. Thank you for joining us and taking this time out of your day.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. First, wanted to thank you for your service. Want to let you know we also have a commissioner who's retired Navy captain on the commission as well. So just wanted to thank you from my bottom of my heart. Say thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your service as well.
That's for Mr. Hanson. So my question starts off if you could briefly share your professional background and, most importantly, how your experience has prepared you to address the opportunities and challenges that face Flagler County.
Absolutely. So Camden County, I've actually grown up in the southeast region of Georgia my entire life, with the exception of the time that I was in the Marines. But I would say a lot of my leadership skills came from the Marine Corps. Being a foreign advisor overseas to the Afghan National Army is kind of where I would say my public service really kind of started, trying to really stand up an army, that was basically from nothing over there. Was a really big challenge. And of course, I think we know where they stand now. However, my time in Camden County, being in a coastal community, and even in Glenn County, even though it was a short period of time, dealing with the challenges that you face on the coast, especially when it comes to resiliency operations, emergency operations for hurricanes, and of course the financial issues that and the infrastructure issues that we're faced with. I think a lot of that has really prepped me to be able to lead an organization like Flagler County.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any follow-ups? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. There are some similarities for sure, and it's nice to at least. I guess one thing is there's some concern that Florida is significantly different from Georgia as far as our legislative processes, the laws, and everything. So how will you get acclimated to Florida as quickly as possible and up to speed on our laws?
I actually feel like they're pretty similar. I mean, the processes and timelines might be a little different, but to me, they're pretty similar. I, in fact, get actually more Florida news than I do Georgia. Through my work, of course, I get all the Georgia news, but I would say for what's the challenges that Florida is facing as far as local governments are concerned, I actually get quite a bit of news from Florida. And honestly, I would kind of say it's not a whole lot different to me than like a law profession, where a lawyer may be licensed in multiple states. The way in which statutes, ordinances are created, I don't think that process would be that vastly different. I think, for me, I absorb information like a sponge, and I retain that information very well. So for me, I do not see it as a large challenge at all.
All right, thank you.
I do, however, see Amendment 3 being a vastly large challenge for local governments. And that's not just, I would say that's not really just Florida. Georgia is trying to do the same thing. So we're actually facing that same challenge up here in Georgia as well. Also with data centers, infrastructure needs, I mean, tourism, I can keep going down the list, but there's a ton of similarities and challenges that Georgia faces just as much as Florida, as well as the most recent thing being the flock cameras. So everybody's on the flock camera discussion as well now.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, Shawn. I'm Commissioner Greg Hansen. I'm the 2nd District, and I'm a retired Navy captain. But thank you for your service. In your experience, and you've had quite a bit of really good experience, what was the toughest feedback that you ever received in your career, and how did you handle it, and how did it change the way that you lead or manage?
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson. I appreciate your service as well. I actually work very closely with the commanding officer here at Naval Sub Base Kings Bay, so I'm not sure if you were on a sub or if you were on big ships or on the land, but it was wonderful being able to partner right here with Naval Sub Base Kings Bay. But to answer your question, for me, I think one of the biggest keys of feedback is just being humble and really, kind of reminding yourself where you came from. And, for me, it was really making sure that my staff, and not just the staff, but even the citizens through the staff, were being taken care of. I'll say one of the biggest challenges we faced in Camden and are still facing here is, just the financial needs of, capital projects. Camden County has a large jail that they're trying to build. That's probably going to be at least $50+ million to build. However, they don't have the funds to do so. The commission up here developed a really aggressive strategic plan that encompassed a large amount of capital projects that unfortunately the board just did not have the financial means to be able to do so. So unfortunately, really struggling to try to be able to, and they're still facing that challenge, trying to figure out exactly where that funding is going to come from without trying to raise the taxes on the population. I'm big on fiscal policy and making sure that the citizens are taken care of. And that's a really hard thing to overcome, especially whenever you're dealing with back-to-back hurricane situations, and then as well the state legislature trying to basically take away local rule, if you will, home rule, and basically cut your finances down by 25% or more. It's getting more challenging day by day.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Carney. I'm District 3, and I'm married to a former Marine and captain. He didn't stay in the whole time, though. Flagler County's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied those values in your past leadership roles?
Thank you, Commissioner Carney, and thank you for your husband's service. And I always enjoy Marine stories. I'm sure it'd be wonderful to hear some of the stories from your husband. We all have several. But to answer your question, I have wonderful relationships with all of our important partner organizations through the cities. We even have some authorities here that we also operate with. But as far as fiscal oversight and just making sure that, not only is the county being fiscally responsible, but also the cities are. I'm a big stewardship type of person, making sure that communication is always held at the forefront, making sure that if they do have issues, that I'm there to assist them, as well, vice versa. So I will say in my past, when we would lead conversations like a special local option sales tax discussion, that's a 1 penny sales tax that Georgia has, very similar to some sales taxes that you all have in Florida. But 9 times out of 10, I was the one leading those discussions amongst the municipalities, as well as the county and the authority that we also funded through that program. So I have no issue taking that charge, leading meetings with all of the elected officials. And I would also say that even with the constitutional officers, I've done a wonderful job building relationships with them and making sure that, they understand where the board is headed. Not only financially, but also strategically in their mission and goals. So big time stewardship on communication and fiscal stewardship. I have no problem whatsoever, and my past experience highlights that quite a bit. Even with the state delegation, we've had a number of grant opportunities. One of those, the largest being for our Resiliency Operations Center, which was really cutting edge here in Georgia. I think we're probably one of the very first counties that actually have such an operation, and that was about a $6 million grant recipient, one from DCA, the Department of Community Affairs in Georgia, but then we also received about $1.2 million from Congressman Carter's office to help facilitate that project. And actually, I will say this, on the outside of that building, we have every city logo, the county logo, the Navy, the Marine Corps, Coast Guard, all of our partner organizations that we actually work with.
Thank you. Leanne?
Yes, hi, Leanne Pennington, District 4. Capital improvement projects such as roadway resurfacing, our airport is under development, and environmental restoration such as beach nourishment projects are reoccurring priorities in our county. What relevant project management experience can you bring to Flagler, and how would you help our board prioritize these big ticket capital improvement needs?
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. So for me, I've managed many capital projects, whether it be actually that resiliency operations center. That was actually a total renovation project that we did of an old Georgia Power facility here. Radio tower projects. Actually, I used to be an airport manager. We were actually trying to build a brand new airport here in Camden County. So I'm extremely familiar with FAA guidelines and what they require and what they don't require. So very familiar with FAA. I don't know if you all have ever kind of heard about the Spaceport Camden, but I'm actually very familiar with FAA, both on the aviation side as well as the space side. So had some opportunity to work with FAA on both sides. But also road paving. We've really done some cutting edge stuff here in Camden County, whether it's road preservation rather than just going straight to the super pave, if you will. Everybody loves super pave. It's wonderful to have. However, it also costs astronomically higher than other forms of pavement that you can do for some of your smaller, residential routes. I would absolutely say for your minor and major collector routes that are there in the county. And I've had the opportunity, I will say this, to come down to Flagler County and spend a few days. Some of the cities, some there on the beach line, and actually I got to see a little bit about what you guys are trying to do with your beach stabilization and making sure that your beaches are protected. So I know the hurricanes have hit you all dramatically in the past, and I know resiliency is a big thing for you all moving forward. And I think the biggest key for you all is, one, how do we achieve that, especially with the looming Amendment 3 moving on. But as far as capital management or capital project management, I've done a lot of that. I've built a new health department here where we actually consolidated 3 different health departments. I've built a gun range, which is kind of out of the norm for local governments, but it was almost a $3 million project that we had built there. Tens of millions of dollars of projects and road paving that we've done in Camden. Some of those being grant related and some just being locally funded. Also with park updates, we've done quite a bit of park updates here in Camden that are still needing to be done. So there's actually about $15 million in capital project updates planned for parks here locally. And I can keep going if you'd like me to.
No, thank you so much. Thank you. I know Pam is the next question.
1 second. Can I do a follow-up question, please?
Of course.
Okay, great. Shawn, what does project management look like to you? Part of the question is what relevant project management experience? Do you have experience having actual a project manager or someone specific? Or how have you worked through project management?
So I've actually done it personally, but then I've also had a project manager as well. So for me, it's really understanding the scope of what the board is actually trying to achieve. I think that if you just go into this thing without a really solid plan, meaning that you've got pretty much all of your deliverables and your expectations fully ironed out before you go out to bid, I think that we would be doing a disservice, one, to ourselves, but also to our taxpayers when it comes to their funds. So making sure that the engineers, architects, the board is fully online and understanding of exactly what is to be accomplished. And then from there, making sure that, one, when we do bid it out, that the proposers actually understand what the project needs are. They understand what the requests are as far as, scope of work, the materials being used, whatever that may be. And then from there, just making sure that we manage that project through whatever consultants we're using, whether it's engineers, architects, whatever the case may be, and making sure they're staying online within budget. I will say I've had, one of the things I didn't mention was we operated a landfill here. I had a contractor come in. They were building a new cell for us, a multi-million-dollar cell, and about a 19-acre cell. It's quite large at our C&D site. And they had about $250,000 basically where they lost. I mean, it was just, they ran the project way over what they should have, and we held them to that. So I think one of those is being able to stand your ground and making sure that you hold the taxpayers' funds, accountable. So we did, and they had to eat that. But sometimes that's what happens if the contractors, kind of letting themselves get away.
Thank you. Pam?
Good afternoon. I'm going to surprise you. I'm an Air Force mom. I
Okay,
was in
wonderful.
the Air Force, and my father was in the Navy, and my uncle was in D.C. So I've got all those people around me from inside and outside. So thank you for your service. It's an honor to meet
Thank you so much.
What strategies do you use to work effectively with elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
So for me, it's just understanding the communication needs of each commissioner. I think everybody communicates slightly differently, and that's perfectly fine with me. I'm used to communicating any way that any person would like to do, and making sure that I am there to be able to support you all. And then not only that, but I'm there to be able to support the staff, because I will say one of the things that I feel very strongly about in myself is that if I'm not providing the staff the resources to do their jobs, then one, I'm failing them, but then I'm also failing you all. So I would say I'm kind of the linchpin, if you will, for the communication amongst the board and the staff and the citizens. But for me, it's just making sure that there's strong lines of open communication, whether that's phone, in person. I actually prefer in person, so the more I can meet with you all in person, the better. But I know everybody has full-time jobs and other things that they've got going on in their lives too. So I'm all about transparency. I've had an admin brief here that we developed in Camden County for quite some time, discussing every single project and also the data that we consume daily within the county, as well as all of our financials. I work day in and day out with the CFO to make sure that all of that is one, up to date, and that the commissioners understand where we are financially, but also where we're at financially on all of our projects. And if there are any hurdles, what those hurdles are, and then what we need to be able to do to overcome those hurdles. I'm big on adaptability. I think the Marine Corps beat that into me senselessly. So definitely big on being able to adapt and overcome.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your answer.
Thank you.
Okay. So those are the 5 questions that we had officially lined up. And we wanted to know if you have any questions for us, and is there anything else that you would like to share about you, your experience, whatever you'd like to share?
Sure, absolutely. I do have a couple questions, if that's okay with you all. So I've seen the relations amongst the board, which are, seem great, but how do you perceive, I want to know how you all perceive the relations amongst yourself, but not only yourself, also the constitutional officers that you have within the county.
Yep. I'll go first. Can I go first?
Sure.
It's Lee in Pennington. How are you? Yeah, so I for one feel like we get along good. There are 2 new commissioners that have joined us. And then we have 2 very seasoned commissioners, and I'm somewhere in the middle of that. So it's been a little bit of sometimes conflicting ideologies. And sometimes, but for the most part, I know that we all get along very good, particularly outside of even this place. We could probably use, some more hands-on, particularly with learning some of the more important issues for all of us. So I think we get along well. It's getting better. We had some disagreements towards the beginning, but I feel like it's getting better every day. And it's just reminding everybody that everybody was elected to do a job, and we all answer to constituents that have various.
For a little bit.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, it's just reminding everybody that serves on the board that we're all have competing interests
Can you all
within
hear?
our districts.
Yeah.
Oh, he can't hear.
He can.
Did we lose
Can you hear?
Battery lose you?
50%. Connected to GORCHEDVOATPC.
Uh-oh. Can you hear us now?
We
Yeah,
can
I'm
hear-
so sorry. I don't know what happened.
I'll
My
let Kim
speaker
talk.
cut
Kim,
on me
can
for
you
some
hear?
reason.
Yeah.
I heard the where
Yeah.
where it said that you had some disagreements, but you feel like the board is doing a lot better now.
I think we're gonna get there. We all have competing interests that we need to get accomplished. Uh-oh. Yeah, it's breaking up. Kim, I'll let you try on your end.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's happening to my speaker. It's perfectly fine, but for some reason it keeps cutting off. But I think it's working now.
Okay.
I can pick up at
Go ahead.
the,
Commissioner
The,
Hanson.
Commissioner Hanson, but the constitutional officers, I think we get along very well with our
Okay.
constitutional officers. You know, it's budget time, so we have we have some effort going into making sure everybody understands what we have to deal with the Amendment 3 facing us down the pike and what we're trying to do now. So, but for the most part, and I'll say 90% of the time, we're right on the same page with our constitutional officers. And you know, the sheriff always asks for a big increase, and we try to make that happen. But I think overall we're doing pretty well with our constitutional officers, our brethren.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Pam?
I don't have anything at the moment.
Was there anything else that you'd
Was
like
there
to
another
share with us?
question you had, sir?
I would like to talk to his question real quick. Andy, did you want to speak to his question?
I would say the most important thing that we're all in alignment with right now is hiring the best and most qualified applicant that's going to see us through
Yes.
some of these challenges coming up. And so we are all focused on this right now and coming together as a team on this one.
I really appreciate that. That means a lot. Thank you.
And I'm going to say that we do act as a team. We all have very different mindsets and very different backgrounds. And some of us are business people, some of us are military people, some of us are both. And I think we managed to get along with what we need to do and work out our issues right here on the dais and make things happen that for our constituents. I really do believe that. Because we
Wonderful. Thank
all
you.
have different mindsets, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's the characteristics of any board. We all have different styles. We all represent different districts. We have to bring stuff to the board for discussion and to try to get things done. But all in all, the well-being of the county and the constituents that we serve is the most important. Flagler County Sheriff is well-known throughout this entire state of Florida. It will be, he's very expensive, and the people want safety, and they're going to pay for it. So it's just in any city or any county, that's the way it works. So we have a newer jail. So we've already been through that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I
but
hope
we
that it was
have,
not too expensive.
we're right now, we're expanding with fire departments. So I think we got 3 in the works right now.
Our sheriff runs the jail, so.
Yeah, our sheriff runs the jail, we don't, right, so.
Good, good. Yeah, that's how it is in Georgia too. That's actually one of their constitutional duties is to operate the jail.
Yeah, he won't take animal shelter, but he'll take the jail.
Yeah, it's kind of split in Georgia. Sometimes you have the sheriffs, they'll want to manage animal control, and sometimes they don't. It just depends on the community.
Yeah.
Can
Go
I
ahead,
ask
Andy.
him specifically to that? In Glenn County, you mentioned that you supervised animal control or had some responsibilities in that regard, and we're in the middle of that process. We hire a nonprofit for our animal control officers and for those
Sure.
other services. So what can you bring to the county to help us through that transition or establishing our own animal control officers?
Yes, sir. So I've actually done it in Camden as well. We have animal control here as well. And we actually, I'll kind of tell you the same thing. We had a humane society, it's still here, but they chose to be a no-kill shelter, which is wonderful, very hard to do. typically I think it's as long as you don't have a kill rate below 90%, you're good. So, they actually ended their contract with us with only a 2-day notice. So we had to fully stand up our own shelter. We actually had the animal control officers, but we were using them as the housing facility. So I know very well how to stand up something very fast. As far as animal control officers, all of my officers we sent through professional training. I actually had all of my animal control officers also dual certified in code enforcement training as well. These were national certifications that they had received. So that way, if they were ever out in town, we were kind of saving a little bit of money having them dual certified. They could kind of act as both. The biggest issue that we faced in Camden County was like leash laws, but also just a nuisance of stray cats. Cats are a big issue. So we actually partnered with a national foundation they actually gave us a $50,000 grant to where we did basically a neuter and spay program for feral cats. And it worked wonderfully. And I'll say if you can get that program started through a grant process, it's actually a lot better. Saves the taxpayers quite a bit of money. But I think the biggest issue with that is trying to find a vet that can take on that workload, because we struggled with that locally. We actually had to go down to Jacksonville to find a vet office that could accommodate how many cats we were actually bringing to them. But once you start to sterilize that feral cat population, you will, over time, start to see your feral cat population start to decrease. So that's actually still going on here in Camden, and it's a really good program. And we would also lend out the traps for homeowners to get as well. And I know I'm running out of time, so I did have just one more question to ask, but I don't want to leave any other board member out if anybody else had anything to ask about any of that specifically.
No, sir.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
What's your question?
Okay, so I know there's a ton of areas of improvement that you all want to see. I think we've kind of covered that. I don't necessarily know if maybe a question, but also, you asked me just to talk a little bit more about something that I probably didn't get to speak on. And one of those is strategic planning. I'm a really big strategic planner. I really like to make sure that the board has a comprehensive plan to move forward and what they want to see done. And not just what the board wants to see done, but working alongside staff to make sure that they understand the staff's perspectives and really the challenges of the staff, what they're facing with resource limitation, whether it be funding. We always call it the F-bomb here, and it's not the bad word, it's funding. Funding is the F-bomb. So, most of what we dealt with had funding issues, and I'm very sure it's probably the same way there for you all. But again, to me, it's a strategic plan is not something that you just do one time a year and you put it back up on a shelf. We live by it, we breathe by it. If it's not the strategic plan, then chances are it's probably not going to get funded. But that is something that I would try to execute with you all, make sure that you're fully aware and understanding of what you want to do. The board votes on that, and then we move from there and we execute. And if we're not executing to our abilities, then chances are we need to reevaluate and find out what those issues are, whether it's funding or personnel, or some other matter, whether it's legislative or maybe a hurricane happened and kind of delayed some of our projects. But I didn't know, I want to understand your perspective of that. Is that something that you all feel like you do well? Do you feel like that's something that you all need?
I would say that it would be something we'd be looking forward to revisiting with the new administrator.
Okay.
I agree. High priority.
Best answer. We're good.
Greg?
Yep.
Yeah, we have a strategic plan, and we've been operating with it for 3 years now, I think, 3 years. And it's time. It's time to go take another look at it.
Revisit.
Wonderful. And I guess just to kind of wrap up, I mean, if I were to come to Flagler, during my tenure, if my tenure ever ended there, what accomplishments would make each of you say that hiring me was the best decision the board ever made?
our beaches would be done.
Utopia.
A funded beach management plan.
Funded plan.
Funded plan.
Yeah.
Continue. We have I would say a reputation. We got a Northeast Florida Regional Council Award for our environmentally sensitive lands program. So we, in Flagler County, we love our natural lands. We love preserving them and balancing growth with protecting our natural resources. So we continue to work on that. So any opportunities we have to bring the public out into those areas is huge. We take the mantle of passive parks. We do have one active park, but the city actually runs the active parks. So we kind of take the mantle of the passive parks in the county.
I will say, it's kind of speaking to that. So I don't know if you all know this, but Camden County probably has one of the most protected pieces of land in the nation with Cumberland Island. And we work very closely with the National Park Service environmentally, as well as EPA and the state EPD and DNR to make sure that we're kind of living up to those expectations. Pretty much any time and every time we want to do something, we've got a lot of environmental nonprofits that are right there meeting with us, whether it's the River Keepers or the Nature Conservancy, 100 miles. So very, very familiar with the environmental issues and challenges that you all may be facing.
Very good, thank you.
We have a section of Flagler County that's the longest preserved brick road that once ran from Ohio, somewhere in Ohio, down to Miami. And we have started an initiative, unfortunately, with the pre-development, to get that area turned into a park or somehow protected by the county. So that's going to be a project that we're moving towards as well.
Wonderful.
Anybody else for the cause? That's it? Nope. Okay. Are you all set? Shawn, are you all set?
Yes, ma'am. I'm great. I really appreciate each and every one of your all's time, and thank you. It's been an honor and pleasure to kind of be able to speak to you, and I hope that Georgia made you proud, even if it's just for this short period of time.
Okay. So our process at this time, we'll have a special meeting when we're done interviews, and we're going to go to a short list of 3, and then we'll be bringing those 3 in and hopefully having something done before the beginning of September.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shawn.
You all.
Have a great
Y'all have
day.
a wonderful day.
Yep. We in? Yeah.
Perfect. Mr. Hawthorne, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Charlie Picano. I'm the HR director. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for your time. The way the format is going to work today is we are going to go by each district commissioner, and they will ask one question, and then we'll have a simple follow-up question at the end. So 6 questions total, 1 per commissioner. We do have one commissioner today who is attending virtually. She's in the meeting. Her name is Miss Pennington. She's our chair. Okay. All right.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Andy Dance. I'm the Flagler County Commissioner from District 1. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time to join us this afternoon.
Thank you, and good Monday to everyone.
I'm going to start off with a question to talk a little bit about your background. So briefly share your professional background and, most importantly, how your experience has prepared you to address the opportunities and challenges facing Flagler County.
So let me start from the very beginning. I'm a Florida native, but moved to Alabama when I was 12 years old. But that gave me some experiences in other states. I went to college in Alabama and got my graduate degree at the University of Virginia. My first position was in the state of Michigan. After being there for about 7 years and having left Florida when I was 12 years old, plenty of visits. I called to ask my mother, where's Hollywood, Florida? So that was my reentry into the state of Florida. And certainly most of my experience has been in the state of Florida and in fact, on the East Coast. The organization that I would say holds the closest parallel, I believe, to Flagler County is Broward County, right? Again, spent most of my career, but 8 years in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So I know the issues of beach nourishment and some of the challenges that you all have had. Obviously, you're going through a pretty major transition. I've had a chance to review a good number of your council meetings and workshops, so I'm up to date at least on the most current issues and challenges that you've been discussing. I've done a bit of homework, but I could certainly think that my Florida experience will be instrumental. But among that experience is the importance of coming into an organization new and recognizing the things that are positive and going well, but also the ability to make a full assessment of the organization for challenges that are being faced. We have to be top notch with the team and the work that we do in fulfilling the various plans, including the visionary aspirations of the community, the strategic plan, which I know from 2025 and the various other plans, whether the general plan or the beach nourishment plan, whatever it might be. So it's still early in the process, I know, but I'm well on the way to getting a good handle on the needs of Flagler County, and will commit to meeting those challenges head on, working with the governing body.
Great, thank you. I have one short follow-up, if I could. Your experience is uniquely all municipal government. So talk a little bit about transitioning to a constitutional county government and dealing with constitutional officers, which is required here. How do you see that translating?
Yes, a very good point. And certainly in working with municipality, you're working closely with whatever county government that the city is associated with. But I'd like to use my experience in Connecticut, in Bloomfield, Connecticut. I left Florida for a second time to go up to the Northeast. If you're familiar with Connecticut, small states in that Northeastern region, Connecticut being one of them, and they're structured a bit differently. Rhode Island, Connecticut are roughly the size of counties in the state of Florida, as an example. But the structure of Connecticut is that the towns, and I was town manager of Bloomfield, actually fulfilled the roles of both the municipal government as well as the county government, because counties are not functional in Connecticut. They're actually cities and villages that can be a part of the town itself. As an example, a constitutional office that I didn't oversee, but certainly had to work with, was the school board and the school board superintendent. I actually provided a recommendation of the funding that the town council ultimately approved. So certainly very similar. If you look at each of the constitutional officer positions in Flagler County, and I won't name each of the five, but each of those, the town manager actually was responsible for. So from the tax collector to the supervisor of elections to the not the sheriff, but certainly the police. There were no sheriffs in Connecticut, and certainly as the clerk of courts and comptroller, that was a position that effectively reported to the town manager. And the relationship isn't much different whether you supervise or you're working with. And I think that's the name of the game, to work amicably but firmly with those independent offices of the government.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Good afternoon, Stanley. This is Commissioner Greg Hansen. I'm in the 2nd District.
Yes, good afternoon.
So you've got a really good background here, but in this process that you've come up with up through the years, what was the toughest feedback you ever got about your performance, and how did you turn that into make it your career and your leadership better?
You know, I take this question as one that I kind of contemplated. There's always a question that's related to any weaknesses that one may have. And I have learned over my career, being imperfect human beings as we all are, to be aware of those weaknesses and to ultimately turn them into strengths. So I'm a person who takes a lot of pride in delivering high quality work. And I would say that criticisms that rightly are given that relate to accountability, and the examples are, the typical evaluations that you get as a chief executive or chief administrative officer. So I can't give you a real example of getting a bad score, but even a mediocre score in any given area that that kind of does something to me that I simply want to improve, and possibly will debate on it as well. But the bottom line is to take criticism of performance and turn it into the very best that I can be.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Carney, and I'm District 3. Flagler County's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied these values in past leadership roles?
Let me give you an example that started with the city of Fort Lauderdale, but in each organization that I have gone to subsequently, that I have taken that model with me. But I was placed in charge of developing the core values for the city of Fort Lauderdale employees, or community builders, as we call them, because the mission I found in local government of any organization is to build community, to build quality community, to build community that the community and the governing body desires. So we started from the grassroots. It was actually a part of the visioning process that we went through that also included a very strong role of the community. And in getting to the employee component of that, we brought in a consultant, and we developed the core values that the employees in participating ultimately narrowed down to some 5. And I'm going to name those 5 values that the city of Fort Lauderdale adopted, again, from the grassroots, because they so parallel those that you have named, Vice Chair Carney. But the acronym that we ended up with, and this was totally by coincidence, was I CARE. And I CARE stood for integrity, care, compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence. That was the root of ensuring that this vision and strategic plan that we established at the start of my tenure in Fort Lauderdale would be fulfilled in lockstep with the vision of the community and the direction of the city commission.
Great, thank you so much. Leanne?
Hi, I'm Leanne Pennington, District 4. Capital improvement projects such as roadway resurfacing and widening, airport development, and environmental restoration like our beach nourishment projects are reoccurring priorities for our county. What relevant project management experience can you bring to Flagler? And how would you help us prioritize our big ticket capital improvement needs?
Philosophically, it starts with recognizing the capital improvement program, certainly an acronym CIP that most would recognize. In Fort Lauderdale, in every subsequent place that I have worked, we changed that acronym to represent a community investment plan, because each capital project should represent some aspect of the vision and the strategic plan that has been laid out. And the fulfillment of those projects has to be uppermost. A lot of the regular activities that any department does are recurring and are extremely important that we do it right, and that we work to improve and innovate on a regular cycle. Capital projects, while they may not be a one-time thing, they're recurring, as we say, Chair. But the importance of that investment that usually comes with the higher price ticket is fundamental. What we adopted in Fort Lauderdale is not just to do a capital project, but to establish a charter for each major capital project. They are so complex and they are so tied to making the community the very best that it can be. We should know all of the bits and parts down to the details, including what the business plan is, starting high level with the vision, who the players are, how we will all interact, certainly the cost factors, but the actual business plan that is necessary to make it happen. These things shouldn't be academic. They shouldn't be for a shelf. They should be for fulfilling that ultimate vision of the community. And it's our job as the staff, as the community building team, to make sure that we are doing it in the most effective way.
I guess it's my
Pam.
turn? Yes.
That would be
Hi.
Pam.
Take your drink. Good afternoon, Commissioner Pam Richardson. Nice to meet you. I'm a Hollywood girl, so.
Okay, good
Oh, so
afternoon.
you
We've got something in common.
Oh, yes. Know Fort Lauderdale very well. My whole childhood and beginning of my adulthood. What strategies do you use to work effectively with elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
You know, it really starts, and this has become almost a cliche, but we also fell in this most important task of good communication and establishing good communication from the outset of any relationship. And with a governing body made up of, individuals and the importance of that relationship. And one of the best ways to ruin that relationship is ineffective communication. And that could be anything from, not providing enough heads up so that the council is prepared, typically, or the government or the commission to do its best work. For there to be some feeling that there's unequal communication. It's important to recognize that these relationships don't stop or end, but start, stop, or end with the regular meetings that the county commission holds. But it is on a daily basis when you're not together as a group, or we're not in a formal meeting. So I will come in as a county administrator wanting to hear from each of you. How do we best start this relationship? Certainly starting with communication. How do you want to be communicated with outside of being in a formal meeting? How often do you need to meet with me or staff? But I'm very liberal on information because we as staff, we don't own it. It belongs to you and the community. We look to you for direction. So the better educated that you are from the work that we do and that we're paid and compensated well for, that is absolutely critical to ensuring effective relationships.
Thank you so much for your answer. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're just going to ask to see if we want to find out if you have any questions for us, and then is there anything that you would like to share with us that you haven't already talked about?
Well, I've been working, of course, with your human resources staff, and they have been most helpful and informative, really keeping at least me as a candidate up to date on next steps of the process. So that is my biggest curiosity, and I know that's something that is still fluid with next steps. I know you put this meeting in place kind of at your last workshop meeting, I believe. And otherwise, I am doing a lot of homework. I'm actually enjoying the work. Flagler County has a lot of important issues that are going on, and I'm far from learned of it all, but I think I'm off to a very, very good start and look forward to continuing in the process of you so see it as the proper next step.
Madam Chair.
Please.
Is there anything that stands out in your research of Flagler, either as a challenge or an opportunity that you see in your first blush with your research?
I think there are a couple of things that stand out to me. One is project related, and I think the other is more structural related to the organization itself. But obviously, I know there hasn't been the progress on the beach nourishment plan, which is at the heart of this community and its economic strength and tourism, and for the community to enjoy. And resiliency is a big issue, and I'm familiar with what some of the challenges have been in needing to get with owners for the right of way so that the project can be done as complete as possible. But I have had a chance to review not only the 2023 business plan for the beach, but the 2025 update. And obviously there are some things that are moving along, but it's like with each season, and we're in the middle of another hurricane season, the heart of it's still really to come. And it only puts this community resource more and more at risk. So getting a handle on those various issues, and one of the reasons why I cited Fort Lauderdale as an example, and just a quick story. It took 2012 and Hurricane Sandy that I think finally got Fort Lauderdale's attention. I got there in 2011, but the city had not taken the sustainability and resiliency of the beach seriously. It was more the aesthetics of it. And if you've ever been on A1A in Fort Lauderdale, you get a full vision of the beach just driving down, almost no interferences as far as buildings and so forth, at least the southern portion. But when Sandy hit, and Sandy was not a direct hit, it wiped out parts of A1A that had to be rebuilt. Fort Fort Lauderdale had resisted sand dunes as an example. And so working obviously with the state, we had to take it a lot more seriously, and the community is far better off. The second issue that I would just mention is, when there are changes at the top of the administrative organization, there's usually a story behind it. I don't know the full story, and I'm very interested to know more, but I hadn't dug back into the archives enough, only because of lack of time to get a better feel. But I've heard enough about the need for reassessment of the organization, and even some discussions that I think a couple of you have brought up over the last several months, of maybe even bringing in a facilitator or a consultant to help examine the organization inside out, would be my words of how I took it. And I've seen that situation in the past. When I joined the city of Hollywood, it was actually a former executive of the organization that was brought in and really did a thorough assessment of challenges and improvements that were needed. I got to know that person very well, and we used it. So we were a new administration coming in, and whatever you decide to do on that issue, if you decide to go in that direction, it is something that could work hand in hand with your new county administrator, either taking the lead or working with someone that the commission has commissioned, in effect, to help the organization. I think we have a common goal, even when it's a new person coming in, and that is to ensure that the organization is on the very best footing that it can be. I have what I refer to as a 10-factor organizational assessment model that I literally do go through these 10 steps, and it's not done overnight, but to assess the health of the organization. I won't list all 10, but to give you just a couple of them, which are done pretty early on. What are the community's expectations? And that should largely be in the vision, mission, and various other plans, business plans, master plans. Certainly interacting early on, as early as possible, maybe before getting started, even with the mayor and council, and getting their individual feelings as well as, collectively, the direction that any you may be leaning towards that the commission supports. And things such as finance, financial integrity principles are something to be invested in. You have something that I believe you call your IT department, typically information technology, I think is innovation technology. Innovation and improvement is the key, and it shouldn't be just with technology, but really from a structural standpoint as well. Another option that it just occurred to me, counties often have an internal audit division that works with the administration and the governing body, usually reporting to the governing body to, after we do kind of the assessment of how do we ensure that we're always on top of things by having that second set of eyes, in effect, on your administration. So those are a couple of things that really stand out.
All right. Anybody else? So you understand, I'm sorry, Greg?
No, I was just going to thank him for being here.
Okay, great. So you.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to be here as well.
Great. So you did talk to HR about the process and where we're going from here. We're going to short list this afternoon, and then you'll be hearing from them. And hopefully we'll have our decision made by the end of August, beginning of September.
Yes, I understand. And thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thanks
Okay.
for taking time today.
Thank you, and best wishes to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. VanKleeck, are you on there?
Yes, I am.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Are you okay with starting early? You're our last candidate for the day.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. We can hear you well. My name is Charlie Picano. I'm the HR director for the county. The way we're going to be doing this today is we are going to go through each commissioner by district. They will each ask you one question with a final 6-question follow-up at the end. So pretty simple format. Each one will introduce himself and ask you a question. We do have one commissioner who is our chair, Leanne Pennington, who is virtually on the meeting. Just so you're aware of that. That's why we only have 4 here
Okay.
in person. So, all right.
Sounds
with that,
good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. We'll start with Andy.
Good afternoon, Mr. VanKleeck. It's great to have you here. I want to thank you for sharing your afternoon with us and look forward to listening to you in this interview process. First, want to say it's been interesting looking through your resume and your rise through the ranks in Volusia County. It's anxious to hear a little bit more about your story with Volusia and being a neighbor. You probably have spent a lot of time up in Flagler as well, being a neighbor. But let me start off with our first question. Briefly share your professional background and, more importantly, how your experience has prepared you to address the opportunities and challenges facing Flagler County.
Great question. Thank you for the opportunity, first of all. So my professional background, I like to say that I really grew up with Volusia County. I had a job as an adult prior to taking my role in Volusia County government with a manufacturing company for about 4 years, manufacturing windscreens for tennis courts and ball fields. And then I got into Volusia County in 2003 with Public Works, specifically with the Road and Bridge Division. And I started as a trades worker 1. I was on the bridge crew doing bridge maintenance, concrete repair, drainage projects, just typical road and bridge maintenance and activities, drainage activities. I became a supervisor for Road and Bridge around 2007. I was with them until 2012. A lot of projects that I'm proud of from my time with Road and Bridge, but I had gotten to a point there where I had grown as much as I could. Volusia County has a long history of retaining long-term employees, and so Road and Bridge was no different. There were a lot of longer-term employees that were ahead of me in the promotional process, and I had gone to the Public Works Director around 2011, and I asked him, what do I need to do to prepare myself for the next level? What do I need to do to be ready to become Road and Bridge Director, or, insert the position here? And he said, go back to school, get your degree. So in 2012, March of 2012, I had taken a promotion to the Parks, Recreation, and Culture Department to be their projects coordinator, overseeing their capital program, their playground safety inspections, their lawn maintenance contract. And at that same time, I enrolled back in school to get my bachelor's degree. So while I was working with Parks, I obtained my bachelor's degree in business with a concentration in public sector. Very proud to have graduated with a 4.0. And I gave the commencement speech for my graduation. And then 2016, the year I graduated, I took a promotion to the Management and Budget Division because I needed to learn the finance side of the house as well as the operational side of the house. And so they approached me about a role they had there for a budget analyst. I took that role on, and then I promoted through the ranks with budget fairly quickly. By 2020, I had became the Management and Budget Director. And then in 2022, they named me Deputy Finance Director. So I was overseeing budget and assisting the CFO with accounting, information technology, and treasury and billing. During my time with budget, at the same time, I went back and obtained my MBA. And also during the years from about 2010 to about 2019, I was also involved with the Volusia Flagler YMCA, working part-time as their sports director, running all of their youth sports for the DeLand branch. So how it prepared me for this role, I know government from the ground up. I may not be an expert in every role, but I know at least enough of every role, and I can speak it and I can learn. And so I know the inner workings of many, many different positions, many different roles, and working with a lot of great people has taught me a lot.
I guess the big question, are you ready to have 5 different bosses?
So I work fantastic with the council we have now and prior councils. I thought about including some letters of recommendation from them, which I can get and provide if we go further in this. But you can call any of the sitting council members now, and I believe they would have nothing but great things to say about the way I work with them. And right now I only report to the county manager, of course. Him and the county attorney are the only ones that the board hires, but he gives them access to us, and I work with 7 different ones right now. So I have no issue with that at all. I'm a big team sports guy. So for me, it's all about the team.
Thank you, sir.
Aaron, this is Commissioner Greg Hansen. I'm District 2 here. Throughout your time in Volusia, I'm sure you've had a chance for somebody to pick at you a little bit. So what was the toughest feedback that you experienced, and how did you take that feedback and turn it into a positive and change the way you lead?
That is a great question. So you're right. There's always somebody to pick at you and push your buttons. I try to meet people where they're at. I try to understand where they're coming from, and try to empathize with their situation. As far as critical feedback that I've received, I've always been open to growth. So none of the feedback I've ever received I see as critical. I just see it as growth opportunity. Just like I said about approaching the public works director at the time, who's now the county manager, about how to better myself. And it was go back to school. I didn't take that as a negative of I was uneducated, because I was very good at what I did at the time. I just needed to grow a little bit more to meet my potential. And so I never take it as a negative. I always take it as a positive, and what can I change and grow from that. So that's a tough one as far as critical feedback. Nothing that's ever steered me the wrong way.
Great, thank you.
I'm Kim Carney, and I have District 3. Aaron, Flagler County's mission emphasizes excellence, integrity, collaboration with cities, and fiscal stewardship. How have you embodied those values in your past leadership roles?
So transparency, I always tell it like it is. I don't sugarcoat things. I'm not rude. I'm not abrasive. I'm just factual. I try to keep my opinion and my preferences out of it, because it's not, in terms of working with you as the board, you're the one that sets policy. You're the one that sets direction. It would be my job to carry it out. So I don't, I'm sorry, could you repeat just that last part of that question?
Sure. So how have you embodied the values, excellence, integrity, cooperation with cities, and fiscal stewardship? How have you embodied those values in your leadership roles?
So one of the things we had to do in Volusia when I was management and budget director was go through Amendment 10 in 2020. For Volusia, that was a big deal because we're a charter county. And so that meant all of our constitutional officers who at one time reported to the county manager budgetarily became their own office. And so we had to collaborate with them on setting, we had to create a brand new tax collector position. It was a newly elected position. We never had it before. We had treated it as the revenue division before. So I had to collaborate closely with the constitutional officers during that time and smooth that transition. And that worked out very well. And I have a great relationship with the constitutionals in our area from my roles in finance and even now in emergency services. Transparency, I've gone on many different speaking events to different chambers and just given an overview of county operations, either during my time in finance or even my emergency services role now. And so I'm big on educating the public about what we do, because it's easy to say, well, I pay my property taxes, but people don't always understand, well, what does your property taxes pay for? What are you paying for? And where are other revenue sources coming from? What are our expenses look like? And to quote our current chairman, Jeff Brower, he says, I have a knack for taking the complicated and making it easy to understand. So that's how I embody those.
Thank you. Leanne?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, it's Leanne Pennington. I am the chair in District 4. Capital improvement projects such as roadway resurfacing, widening, our airport development, environmental restoration, such as our beach nourishment projects. Those are all recurring priorities in our county. What relevant project management experience can you bring to Flagler, and how will you help us prioritize our big ticket capital improvement needs?
Absolutely. So again, the board sets the policy and the direction, and so it would be my job to carry it out. I have managed many capital projects throughout my time. I've worked on them, managed them from frontline level and even from a fiscal level. One of the projects I'm most proud of came from my time in Road and Bridge. It was a national federal grant, National Resource Command project, where we cleaned a canal and took a bunch of debris out of the canal to improve drainage. I had to monitor with pictures and every step of the way what we completed on the project, from tracking employees' time to equipment usage. In my role in finance, I was part of the capital projects team for discussing timelines, purchasing requirements. I know different grants require different things to be checked off. Like if it's a federal grant, a lot of times with CDBG, you have the Davis-Bacon wages you have to worry about. How projects are bid out always matters. And again, I go with a team approach, right? Is knowing the players that you're going to need to get things done. You need purchasing at the table. If the project involves any kind of audio, visual, you're going to need to include IT. So making a good project management team from the beginning really helps you see projects through to completion and make sure nothing gets left along the way.
Great. And then we've got a question from Pam.
Hi, Pam Richardson, Commissioner, District 5. What strategies do you use to work efficiently with elected officials who may have differing viewpoints?
So differing viewpoints it's part of the job, right? You guys are a board of 5. I deal with a board of 7 now, and you each have your individual preferences and how you'd like to accomplish things. So how I would go about doing that is, one, I'm going to get to know each of you. I'm going to spend time with each of you. I'm going to learn what your preferences are, what you're trying to accomplish in your time in that seat. And I'm going to help you find a way to yes. That doesn't mean I'm going to support everything. It's not my choice on whether or not I think it's a good decision. It's my job to provide you with the facts and every different angle I can come at with it, and make sure the board has equal information so that you're all playing from the same deck of cards, and that you can make those decisions as a group. And so I promote collaboration and promote that team approach to things, and making sure everybody's playing from the same deck of cards.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, so finally, we just wanted to give you an opportunity to ask us some questions, and then if there's anything else that you would like to share about yourself.
Okay, fantastic. So I could sit on here forever and talk about myself. I have the gift of gab, so I'm going to keep it brief as far as my background goes. I hope to move along in this process and have more time to sit with each of you individually and collectively as a group. What would you say you are? I mean, I kind of know a little bit. I've done a lot of research about Flagler. Like you said, we're neighboring counties, so we work together on some things. Flagler Fire staffs one of our stations on Old Dixie. We have another station that's right off of Rodeo Road that's actually in Flagler County, Station 18. So it is a neighboring county, very similar to Volusia. I'm very aware of Florida statutes. I'm homegrown. I've been a Volusia County resident my entire life, born and raised. So I know all the Florida ins and outs. What are you guys looking for in a county administrator? What would you say would be the ideal candidate? That might be a tough question.
we're okay.
Let me start off.
Please.
So the big, right, the elephant in the room is we have applicants with prior either assistant or management experience. So you're coming to us looking for us to make the leap of faith in you without either one of those to lead Flagler County. So talk to me a little bit about why you're ready for that. And then I have a second part after that.
So, yep, 100%. Never held that role before. Volusia County for 23 years this month. I think my background has set me up for this next step. I run a department of over 500 employees now with an operating budget of over $100 million. And I used to, in my prior role, manage the entire $1 billion budget for Volusia County. So while I've never held the role, I've worked closely with executive leadership for years. I know how to go about working with council, working with the commission. And you're getting someone that is hungry, an up and comer, and has never been passed over for a role like this, and has never had short stints in roles like this. And I have a ton of Florida experience. I'm ready to make the jump. And I think my references and my track record at Volusia speak for themselves.
All right, so the second part is, right, we have a lot of the same issues. And so a lot of things like water and drainage, they don't know boundaries, county boundaries. So I think it's important to recognize the working relationship between adjacent counties. But moving on to the big question is growth versus infrastructure versus natural resource preservation. So Volusia deals with that, those struggles. So talk a little bit about how you might approach those questions as they arise, or the guidance that you would give a council or board as those issues arise.
So like you said, we got to work together with our neighboring counties. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know all your issues intimately as far as drainage. I know the hot spots in Volusia County where we have drainage issues. So I assume, like us, you've done drainage studies, and you have plans for how to correct the issues that you're having. And so I would want to review those, and look at what the recommendations are as far as drainage improvements, infrastructure improvements, and move forward with that. Again, team approach. You guys have a great team in Flagler. And so I'd want to lean on the people that have been there doing the work, review the studies, and then again, provide you with the facts, and let the board make the direction.
All right, and just one final.
And then
thing.
as far as growth management too, I know you guys have, you deal with a lot of annexation challenges. I know you have a few that you're dealing with now with, I think it was Somerton, and there was one other one. So one idea, I know that we have it here in Volusia, is an interlocal service boundary agreement. And so right now, I think when you guys disagree over an annexation, I think the other one was Veranda Bay. And you're negotiating and you're litigating each one from scratch, basically after the fact. There's no standing framework. So every dispute, it becomes its own fight. So one thing I would want to do too, it's not a silver bullet because Volusia County has also debated whether or not residents get enough input under an ISBA. But I would want to bring you what that framework could look like, and having an agreement with Palm Coast and Flagler Beach in particular, as far as growth boundaries and what it looks like for future annexations, so that there's a plan in place beforehand, so before you go towards that direction. You don't have to fight each one individually.
And do you have a specific mentor that has that you is important to you as far as leadership training or guiding you?
Absolutely. George Reckenwald, the county manager for Volusia County, has been my mentor since I've been with Volusia. He was the road and bridge director when I got hired in 2003. He left and became public protection director, or public works director, then public protection director. And then he became county manager in 2019. And so I've always leaned on him for advice and professional development. He has taught me so much about leadership and so much about how to get things done. And so he is one that I will forever have as a mentor and somebody that I can call at the drop of a hat. I was also very close with Jim Deneen, our former county manager. And so I have him that I can call on. And I have some other associates throughout the different counties and different levels that I can always count on for advice and guidance. But as far as mentorship from a leader, it'd be George Reckenwald, hands down.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Aaron, I've been here for 10 years, and so I've seen different leadership styles at the administrator level. And we've had an administrator who was too much of a hands-on, a micromanager, if you will. So we've seen that. And then we've had a manager that was completely kind of hands-off and let everybody do their job and just kind of check with them periodically. So where do you fit in that spectrum? What's your leadership style?
So you have to balance. I would never be a micromanager. I believe you hire people to do a job and you have to trust them to do the job. And so you trust but verify. Obviously, you don't just cut somebody loose and you don't support them. You give them the support that they need to complete that job. But you don't stand on top of them. If you have to stand on top of the person, then that's not the right hire. So I like to get involved. Even in my current role, I've gone and rode on ambulances for shifts. I've gone and stayed in fire stations for shifts. And that's not to micromanage my division directors. It's to learn what's happening in the field to where I can help support them. And it's a great staff satisfier when they see me out there. So I would say I do take a hands-on approach and support where needed. But it's never from a micromanagement level. You hire the people to do the job. I am a team guy, like I said, and so I believe in that team approach.
Aaron, you talk a lot about teams, and I just wanted to ask, how do you build the right team? How do you establish who is your team?
So I always look for the opposite of me. I know that's a strange approach sometimes, but I know what I bring to the table. I need people who are going to counteract that and who are going to tell me when I'm wrong, and tell me, not be scared to give me their opinion or what they think. And then I always try to assume that I'm not the smartest person in the room. I don't think I really ever am the smartest person in the room, but going about it that way, it helps me learn from everybody. And so, when I talk about team approach, that's really what I look for, is people that'll complement each other and have different skill sets and are willing to learn from each other and willing to be a part of that team and really grow together.
Thank you. Anything, Pam?
No, I just find you a man of many reasons. You're very unique and you're very special, no matter where you work. I'm sure they appreciate your honor and your kindness. And so I applaud you. No matter what happens, I applaud you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So other than the ideal candidate, did we all give you around on that? You good with that?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah, I
have
think I
any
got
other
a pretty good
questions?
idea.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions besides the ideal candidate?
No, listen, I mean, I know what this role, I could hit you with some questions just to hit you with some questions, but I'm not going to waste your time. I know what this role is. I know what we have on the horizon with property tax reform and what the impact can be to counties, especially a county like Flagler, where I think it's 49% of your residential properties are homestead. So you stand to lose quite a bit of property tax revenue. And so I'm prepared to help you navigate that, what that looks like. And I'm prepared to roll my sleeves up, jump in and work with you guys. So I'm very excited about the opportunity. I'm very humble and thankful to have made it this far in the process, to the point of not having prior deputy or manager experience. So it is very humbling and honored to make it to this level. And I just look forward to continuing my career as a public servant.
All right, everybody good?
Yep.
All right, Aaron, thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for your
Mike,
time
so
today.
much.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you,
So
sir.
much.
All right,
Thank you so much.